You work here as a janitor? Wow, it must be tough being poor. Those condescending words came from Cindy, my brother's wife. Even though we hadn't seen each other in a while, she said this with a mocking laugh. I've known for a while that she doesn't think much of me. I thought we had grown apart, and I wouldn't have to see her again, but I was wrong. However, this time I won't back down. Her being here means something's coming, and I can't help but hold back a laugh. I stay calm and respond, watching as her face freezes when she hears my reply. My name is Lita, I'm 30 years old, and I live with my husband Lucas and our daughter, Layla. Lucas and I have been together since college. We started dating after joining the same club, and after dating for 4 years, we got married. The next year, Layla was born healthy, and she's now 3 years old, growing up well without any serious illnesses. Sadly, Lucas's parents passed away before they could see her grow up, but my parents love her a lot and make up for the missing grandparents. Our condo is only a 10-minute drive from my childhood home. At first, Lucas and I were supposed to live with my parents when we got married. They wanted us to stay with them, and life was peaceful living with my kind husband and my warm parents. But that peaceful routine changed 6 months into our marriage when my brother Cedric showed up with his wife. I hadn't seen Cedric in almost 5 years. He had a falling out with our parents, dropped out of college, and left home. I didn't know where he was or what he was doing until he sent a message saying he was married. He didn't even congratulate us when we got married, and he never came to family events, including my wedding. So, when he suddenly showed up, I was both surprised and angry, but I decided to listen to him. What he and his wife said, however, shocked us all. Cedric came back after years and said, "Dad, Cindy and I decided to live here with you." What? He had been gone for so long, and now he just shows up and says that? I know it's not ideal, but I'm married now. Living here is the least I can do. Don't be ridiculous, you didn't even come to Lita's wedding. Well, I'm sorry about that, but as a son, I have to live with you. And then he said, Lita and her husband need to leave. The room went quiet, even Dad was speechless. Finally, I spoke up. Wait a minute, you can't just walk in here and say that. Lucas and I live here. So what? You're just trying to please Dad so you can take the house, right? That's not true, Cedric argued. I just want to live with my parents. You're just the daughter. The son, especially the oldest, should get priority when it comes to living here. Just because you're the son? Just because you're the oldest? You dropped out of college and left home on your own. I can't take this anymore. Get out. I grabbed my brother by the arm and dragged him to the door. We argued at the door, but then Cindy said, "Let's just go home for today." So, Cedric reluctantly left, leaving my parents and husband exhausted. We all wondered what my brother might do next. A few days later, the doorbell rang. When I opened the door, a stranger is standing there, and there's a moving truck parked in front of the house. Confused, I ask him, "Are you with the movers? I think you've got the wrong house." "Nope, this is the right house," he replies. "We're here to move stuff for Cedric." Cedric? My brother? I realize these movers are part of my family, so I tell them to go ahead, but then the mover goes back to his truck and signals to his crew. Suddenly, several men start carrying boxes into our house. I had no idea my brother was moving in. Not a word was mentioned to me. Since my parents are out, I can't ask them about it. I feel like I'm the last to know, so I rush upstairs to find my husband. "Hey, Lucas, you haven't heard anything about my brother moving in, have you?" "What? What are you talking about? There's no way," he says. "Then come look. Movers are bringing in his stuff." "That's crazy. I haven't heard anything about this." "Never mind, just come." I pull Lucas downstairs, and the hallway is already filled with boxes. The movers keep bringing more inside. Lucas tries to stop them, but they say, "We're just doing what we were told. Your family, right?" We try calling my brother, but he doesn't answer. We call my parents, but their phones are on silent. Eventually, all the boxes are inside, and the movers leave without saying a word. Now we're standing in front of a pile of boxes, completely confused. Why does my brother have so much stuff here? Is he planning to move in without telling us or Dad? We consider the worst-case scenario and decide to wait for our parents to come home and figure out what to do. An hour later, my brother and his wife show up first. "Hey, Lita, we're moving in. You better get out," my brother says. "Wait, you moved your stuff in without telling anyone? Why?" I ask. "This was originally my home. What's wrong with bringing my stuff back?" He replies. "Are you serious?" I start to argue with him. But then I hear a mocking laugh from behind. I turn around and see Cindy, my brother's wife, grinning smugly. Noticing my stare, she says, "Oops, sorry," with no real apology. Then she taunts me, "So, you must be Lita, right? Can't listen to Cedric or something? How childish can you be?" "What's this about?" I ask, getting frustrated. For the record, my brother dropped out of college on his own and moved out. Why bring it up now? I continue. "Haven't you heard? Cedric moved back in with your parents. He's such a good son," Cindy says, with a grin. "We never asked for this," I snap. "This is where my husband and I live, so please leave." "Too bad, we've already given up our condo," Cindy says. "Anyway, you guys are the ones who need to leave, not us. Good luck." Then Cindy and Cedric start unpacking, ignoring us completely. Later, my parents came home and argued with my brother, but he and Cindy refused to leave. From that moment on, life became horrible. Every day, my husband and I were insulted by my brother and Cindy. They used our clothes and accessories without permission, and when we asked for an apology, they just dismissed it, saying, "We're family, so what's the big deal?" When my pregnancy was confirmed, Cindy said, "Lita, you're just a housewife, right? And Lucas's company is just average. Your child is going to be born into a poor family. That's so sad. Why are you having a baby before us?" I started to feel mentally drained and upset. Just being in the same room as them made me cry, so I locked myself in my room all day. My parents noticed and suggested to my husband that we separate, saying it would be too late if something happened to the baby. They convinced him to move out of their house as soon as possible. My husband quickly found a new place for us to live, and we moved. Life became peaceful again, like the past had never happened. The first few days after the move were difficult, but with my husband's support, I managed to get through it. I deleted my brother's contact and asked my parents not to give him or Cindy our new address. Soon, my parents started visiting us often, ignoring my brother and Cindy at their house. They asked my brother and Cindy to cover the living expenses and rent, but when they refused, my parents started throwing their things out into the yard. Finally, my brother and Cindy moved out. It's been almost 3 years since then, and I haven't seen them. We thought about living with my parents again, but we didn't know when my brother might show up, so living there didn't feel like a good option. Besides, our family home was getting old, and my parents were thinking about moving into our condo. One day, as I was leaving the house to go shopping, I saw a familiar face. As soon as I saw her, old memories came rushing back. "Oh my gosh, is that you, Lita?" It was Cindy. "Why are you here?" I asked. "Why wouldn't I be? I'm here to check out this fancy apartment building." "Check it out? You're not planning to move here with my brother, are you?" "Well, that's a secret, but running into you is a surprise." "Still struggling financially?" "What do you mean? That cheap-looking sweater and those skinny jeans must mean you're tight on money, walking out of here like that." "What are you talking about?" "You poor thing, you have a kid now, right? That's just so sad." "What's sad about it? My husband and I are happily raising our child." "Don't get all defensive. Someone like you, with no redeeming qualities, shouldn't even have a kid. Talk about delusional." Cindy burst out laughing, and that was the breaking point for me. I had had enough. Nothing had changed since I last saw her. She was still focused on bringing people down. I couldn't stand it anymore. I took a deep breath and decided to speak up. "Look, what's your problem? I get that you don't like me, but can we just not get involved with each other?" She smirked and replied, "What, scared? I saw you at your most pitiful moment." "What are you talking about?" I asked, confused. "You're a janitor here, aren't you?" Cindy said with a laugh. "It must be tough, being poor." It turned out she thought I was a janitor, not a resident. I guess it was an easy mistake to make. The high-rise apartment I live in is so expensive that my husband's salary alone couldn't cover it. Cindy, knowing where my husband worked, assumed we couldn't afford to live here. With a look of disdain, she said, "It's crazy you're even working as a janitor just to be around this place. You must be desperate." I was fed up. It was time to put her in her place. "Can you stop making assumptions? I'm not the janitor," I said, trying to stay calm. She laughed. "Chill out. How about this? I won't tell Cedric I saw you here, but from now on, you'll be my servant. You'll do whatever I say, got it?" I couldn't believe it. She thought I was just some janitor in a luxury apartment building and was making a childish proposal. That was it. I couldn't let her go on anymore. "Excuse me, what are you talking about? You're misunderstanding everything. This is my home," I said firmly. Cindy's smile froze, and she looked at me in disbelief. I ignored her shock and continued. This is my home, and it's owned by my husband, I said. What? What are you talking about? She stammered. I explained. This apartment was originally owned by my husband's parents. Now, it's been passed down to him, and he rents it out through a real estate agent. The reason my husband was able to find a new place so quickly is because he owns this apartment. It's part of his inheritance. I went on. My husband even prepared this place to protect me from you and my brother. I've started helping with the real estate agent to lessen his burden. Cindy was still shocked, but I pressed on. Did you come here with someone today? I asked. What? Of course I came with Cedric, she replied nervously. I didn't hear Cedric's name from the real estate agent, I said. So, you came with someone else? Suddenly, an unfamiliar man appeared from behind Cindy and said, Sorry to keep you waiting. He put his arm around Cindy's waist and kissed her affectionately. At that moment, I realized what was going on, and Cindy knew I'd figured it out. She quickly pulled away from the man. I made sure he could hear me as I spoke up. Cindy, are you sure it's okay to be here like this? You're a housewife, but you're out here with another man. You're going to tire my brother out, you know? She quickly snapped. What are you talking about? I added, What's this? A married woman on a date with another man? Or is he just a friend? Her face turned red as she pleaded. I have to tell Cedric, please. But I was done holding back. I spoke to her sharply. You really have some nerve, don't you? You've made people miserable, pushed them to their limits, and you haven't changed one bit. And now, you're cheating? You're as low as they come. Tears welled up in Cindy's eyes as she pleaded. Lita, please. I said firmly, because of you and my brother, I've suffered a lot. How dare you mock people without even apologizing? I will never forgive either of you. You'll experience the pain I went through and more, I said. At my words, Cindy collapsed to the ground, sobbing loudly. That's how Cindy's affair was exposed. I told my brother about it, and it turned out she was already married and had been trying to get her lover to buy the high-rise apartment for her. Caught red-handed, Cindy's lover sued her for marriage fraud. To make matters worse, my brother was also having an affair with someone at work. His affair came to light at the same time, and he was demoted to a provincial office. Cindy apparently followed him, but they both kept blaming each other for their problems. Both Cindy and my brother were hit with huge fines, Cindy from her lover, and my brother from the lover's husband. They couldn't pay the fines with Cindy's former housewife status and my brother's lower salary, so they turned to illegal lenders. It's going to be a long time before they can recover, and no, I won't help them. As for me, life is good, my family of 3 is happy, and thanks to my husband's generosity, my parents will be moving into the same high-rise building next month. We won't be living together, but it's another way to stay close. I'm so grateful to my husband, and I plan to live my life to the fullest, cherishing those around me.